Good evening and welcome to a cold evening of January 16th, 2024. This is our first meeting of the year for the Darien Architectural Review Board. I'm Elizabeth Geiger, Chairman of the board. With us tonight, we have Mrs. Hart, Mr. Riley, Mrs. Janice, who will be our stenographer tonight, Mrs. Lopatensky, and Mrs. Morrison. We're doing a small change on the agenda tonight. We have old business and new business. We're going to take new business first, just because you guys are booked up. This application has a second meeting to view tonight, to present to you tonight. So we're going to look at ARB number 1, 2024 for Great Island. So guys, present yourself. Sorry, I want to make sure I covered everything on there.
Sure.
So guys, everyone as part of the team, will you all please present yourself for the records?
Sure. My name is Craig Flaherty, Principal and Senior Engineer with Redness and Mead. We're providing surveying, engineering, and permitting services to the town on this project.
Yep. Matthew Pop, Landscape Architect, Environmental Land Solutions. We're in Norwalk. I'm the landscape architect and I prepared the landscaping plan that was submitted.
I'm Monica McNally. I'm on the Board of Selectmen. I'm also Chair of the Great Island Advisory Committee.
Ed Gentile, Director of Public Works for the town of Darien.
Terrific. All right, so
I'll give you the
it's your
overview.
presentation. Yeah. Do you want to stand up, Craig?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
So, first things first, what are we here to talk about specifically, right? You hear Great Island and you think that whole big, beautiful property that the town bought, which is what Great Island is. But what we are here to talk about specifically tonight is not the island proper, but the driveway to the island. So it's a piece of property that starts at just across Rings End Bridge, where everybody is familiar, seeing the gates that you see from Rings End Bridge. And then that piece of property goes in about 1,000 feet to what was the cul-de-sac of Great Island Road, which was part of a 1980s subdivision of this parcel of land. But now that piece additionally is owned by the town of Darien. So we are here tonight only talking about this 1.6 acre piece. And the importance of that 1.6 acre piece is to, it's really the critical path to open up public access to the island. Right now in this narrow strip of land is a 12-foot wide driveway. And obviously a 12-foot wide driveway is not wide enough or comfortable to a public access. And we also have to think about pedestrians and strollers and bikes, because ultimately we have a wonderful open space at the end of this road to use once we can get there. So in order to make this suitable for public access, which is the focus of this first bit of work proposed, is to replace the driveway that's there today with a new wider driveway. So we will be placing a 22-foot wide driveway, which is, as narrow as I would want to make it, but still make it comfortable for two-way vehicular traffic between, again, approximately Rings End Bridge and here. And then these are the two causeways, if you visited Great Island, the two causeways that go out to the island proper. So this gets us to basically the entry point, the other entry point to the island. In addition to the 22-foot driveway, we're proposing a 5-foot sidewalk set off the edge of the road by a couple of feet to be a little more gracious, keep the pedestrians and the vehicles a little bit separate. Given the position of the existing drive, there's actually portions of that existing 12-foot drive that are on this property, which north is that way, so this is west, on this property to the west. So the driveway is not only being widened, but it's actually being moved and widened. So it's an all-new driveway. And because it's being moved and widened, there are some spruce trees on the east side of the access way that need to be, they're just in the way of the road, and so they're proposed to be removed. At the beginning, at the gate, Your plan is so much prettier. The existing gate is, of course, too narrow again for that 22-foot driveway and that 5-foot walk. So we are proposing to reconfigure that gate. The right side will stay just the way it is today, but for maybe one change here, and I'll get to that in a second. Because you see the property boundary here, right? This is what the town owns. This is owned privately. So we actually can't really touch anything right of that right post, right? The town owns the post, someone else owns the rest. So we're proposing to leave that pillar right where it is, but we're going to reconfigure the left side of the driveway. Matt has prepared two options for that, just to study them, although we've kind of come up with a favorite after talking with the design team and with the Great Island Advisory Committee. There's option A at the top of this sheet and option B at the bottom of this sheet. And the differences largely are over here. Again, that doesn't move, that's the right side pillar. This would be the rebuilt, relocated left side pillar, tight to the curb line, but not symmetrical on the road, with an arcing wrought iron fence to connect to another pillar that's staying. The option that we seem to prefer, because this also tries to preserve the gates. I'm not even sure we can swing them open in that direction because the slope of the land goes up, but it also, even though it tries to preserve the gates, they would have no purpose because they wouldn't close anything if swung closed. So conceptually, we came up with this version. Matt came up with this version where you have the main larger pillar here on the right side, which is not changing, a reconstructed pillar here, and now this is centered on the driveway, so it feels symmetrical, I guess, as you're driving in. And then the two minor pillars are positioned to the back with a piece of the wrought iron fence connecting the two. So those are the kind of two options for the entry, although we like this one, but of course we're open-minded as well to design comment, which is why we're here. Just going back, big picture again. So because we're pushing the driveway to the east, we're getting into some topography where here land slopes up, here land slopes down, here land slopes down, and to not do a big fill slope and potentially impact properties that we don't own, we're proposing retaining walls to make up the grade at the edge of the road. So these two walls, the face of the wall is actually on the opposite side of the road, so these are fill walls, and this is lower and this is higher. So the main face of the wall is here and here. And this side, we are presenting two options, and really we're presenting them for budgeting so we can price them both ways. The first option, primary option, if the budgeting works out, is we'll just have a 2-foot tall parapet facing the roadside, and that 2-foot tall stone masonry wall parapet will function as the guide rail that's needed to protect vehicles from the lower elevation. The second option that we're pricing is the wall would end at grade and be flush with grade, so you wouldn't even see it from the drive side, and instead there would be a wooden guide rail in front of the wall to protect the vehicles there. Here, this is a cut wall, so this is low on this side, it's high on this side, so you will see the face of the wall in this from the driveway here. For these visible sections of wall, we're trying to kind of respect what we saw on the island in terms of the design of the wall. For the most part, when you're close to the edge of the road, you see something like this. But as you look at other walls on the island and architecture on the island, most of the structures and walls have a basically orthogonally cut granite block with a beaded joint, so the mortar joint is very obvious and it's got some protrusion to it. So that's what we're proposing. Elsewhere on the island, as you get close to the main mansion, which is more of a Mediterranean style, they kind of totally changed the wall type to more something along those lines. But the other structures like the stable, the carriage house, the greenhouse, and even this little the little one near the front have that orthogonally cut block. So there's a few options for capping that wall, and they're kind of all represented in this photo. This has no cap at all. This wall here is this wall here. It's got a concrete cap. There's two styles of concrete cap that show up on the island. One is just orthogonal, one is a slope to it. And then there is this version which has this massive granite slab on top. To be frank, we're hoping not to source and pay for and install these massive granite slabs. So we're hoping to just do a simple edge to the wall, kind of akin to this wall here, where it's just the orthogonally cut wall will come to a top, and be kind of a simple wall at the top. That's the preferred option for the wall.
With no cap.
With no cap. Again, preferred, and obviously we're here to have a conversation, and we want everybody to be happy with the result. So, we talked about entrance, we talked about the walls, the walkway. One thing that comes up is the existing So the existing 12-foot wide driveway, which you can see here, here, and here, has on its edge this gutter, and there are blocks on either edge of that gutter, and kind of a cobble-ish gutter, for lack of a better term, in between. We are not proposing to recreate that detail on the new drive. Simply, it's not anything that we would recommend for what is now going to be public access, right? In terms of tripping hazard, walking, not friendly to bikes, not friendly to strollers and that sort of thing, or maintenance. But what we are doing is we're going to reuse the curbs, so we're going to salvage the block curbs, and those will be the curbs of the new driveway. The cobbles will be salvaged also and stored on the island with the hope that maybe there's some use for them in the future on the island as kind of master planning on the island occurs. This is kind of the end right now. This is that Great Island Road cul-de-sac. That's the middle of it. Again, not really the focus of the application. It's kind of presented just that's what's there. But we imagine that that may be included in, again, future planning for the island. And with that, I think I will have, we only get to one nit, and then I'll have you come up. Well, Matt in a second. Once we get this two-way driveway in order to have safe circulation on the island, this is the roadway network on the island. These roads also are not 22 feet wide, so they're not suitable for two-way traffic. So in the near term, the proposal is to create a one-way loop on the island. So there will be some wayfinding signage added to the island to allow for that one-way loop. Again, while the bigger picture planning process is occurring, we can get public to access in a safe manner. The only kind of MUTCD traffic signs that we would have would be the stop sign here and the stop sign at the end of the new driveway. Otherwise, we're talking about using kind of just a custom sign that recognizes the parkland context to develop the wayfinding. So I'll have Matt talk through the
So Craig, just to clarify,
Yeah.
you would call this phase one of the Great Island, I don't know,
Almost.
traffic, or?
Almost phase zero, right?
Phase
Like,
zero
like
of-
the
of
thing that
just-
is necessary before we do anything else.
Okay.
Yeah,
And just to make sure the scope, it is just talking about the
the driveway getting in, that's
Right,
right.
we're not getting into any other details, you're not proposing, you guys aren't entertaining anything else right now, it's just the driveway.
That's right.
Okay.
Can I ask two questions about the driveway or
Yeah,
before we
please,
go on?
yeah.
Is there, I know you said that the gate wouldn't be able to be used, but in the future for privacy and for security, is there going to be a gate?
So,
For nighttime traffic, and what about,
Yeah,
it just seems to me that getting to that road, like if you're doing all that work, there needs to be some thought about, I think where
We have thought about
Liz
it, yeah.
Liz was leading, was like lighting, and the other thing that I didn't have mentioned or hear anything about was a bike path. And
So-
to me, that's
Yeah.
huge,
Matt's gonna talk about lighting
Okay.
and landscaping.
because for
Yeah.
me, a walkway and a bike path are two separate entities.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think, again, given the narrowness of this particular strip of land, we would assume biking is very similar to what it is as you're coming here, which is you're gonna be on the road. And the hope is that something more grand is developed on the island for if you wanted something segregated.
But I guess my question is, does it have to be that way? Because to me, the entrance is actually the key portion of this,
Mhm.
because the entrance is where children, or teens or anything, that's where the most vehicle traffic, especially in the near future, if that's the two-way section of this whole project, that's the section that
We don't-
is going to get the most.
We don't know if it's gonna be the only two-way section eventually, but
Agreed,
yeah.
but for the time being,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
it's 1 year or 5 years,
Yep.
there's gonna be a lot more
Yep.
interest in this
Yep.
piece of property for right now versus later.
Yep.
I mean, and so to not have a dedicated bike path if you're actually physically building this property, to me is,
totally understand the comment, can't refute it. We just
is
have-
there room, I guess the question
We
is.
have
is there-
limited space.
Is there
'cause
room,
there's
is
a-
there
yeah.
room for it?
This is the property boundary here.
Yeah.
The sidewalk is basically immediately adjacent to that. This is the roadway here. And then we have to kind of respect the neighbors over here in terms of the screening. We've met with all three neighbors to kind of talk through the plans and design them in a way that are sensitive to everybody. I guess you could take the remaining land between this curb and the walls and make that a stable surface, but it increases the amount of impervious surface, and we haven't figured for that.
Is there an opportunity to maybe consider somehow designating on the roadway a bike route? Like, I've seen this in
Yeah,
Hoboken
Yeah.
and the city
there
where.
is signage for the edges of roads
Correct.
that cue the driver to say, you're sharing this space.
Correct.
Right, that
Yeah.
is absolutely something.
That way people sort of slow down when they're
Well,
driving.
He can talk to that a little bit too. There's a couple of design features we used for traffic calming.
Oh, okay, great.
So maybe that's a good segue. But in terms of the gate, in the future, these three properties are permitted access to this driveway. So we can't put a gate here. So any kind of restriction would be put here.
Okay, good evening. Maybe I'll just start with the bike path. I wouldn't want to make the 22-foot road, 5 feet wider and get 27 feet. To me, that would, cars would be speeding up and down this road pretty quick. And, to me, that I think takes away from the park-like setting. Maybe I just wanted to start with that one photo. Just maybe to emphasize what Craig already said. On this one, the property line is right at the back of this main pillar here. So from here over, this is all off the site. So this walkway is off the site. So this pillar actually stays. This sidewalk ends up coming on this side, and the sidewalk kind of comes along there and around. Sidewalk is concrete until the pillar, right through here, and then it's asphalt beyond that. So the road gets kind of shifted, gets kind of pushed over to the left. So the road is about 7 feet or so from the pillar. So what we tried to do on the landscape plan is try to match that 7-foot distance. Here's the main pillar. Here's the property line right through here. Sidewalk here, so there's about a 7 or 8 foot distance here. Then we had the road. So I wanted this other main pillar to be equally distanced from the center of the road. So it's back about 7 or 8 feet here, and then we have it set back. The other alternative was just to have this pillar, put right up against the road edge, like here. And it's kind of off-centered when you look down. I think when you view down, I kind of prefer this alternative than the bottom alternative. All of the ivy on the walls gets taken off.
So there's 8 pillars on the property right now. Where are the other 4?
They're small pillars. Let's see. There it is. How many pillars do
There's 4 on the right
and
and 4 on the
Yeah.
left.
So some of these-
And some of them straddle the property line.
Well, so the reason why I'm asking this is, that it feels wide. So I
Yeah.
will give you a little bit of background.
Yeah.
I grew up in suburban Detroit, Michigan. You want a wide road, that's where you go.
Yeah.
And I was there recently, and it looks worse every time I go back. And so whenever I see something that doesn't have a New England kind of slightly more intimate feel, and something that what makes Great Island feel so special is it almost feels like you shouldn't be going down that road. Like it feels like you're kind of going a little bit back in time, and you see these details that are like, oh, this belongs to either something, a past time, or something that belongs, with Culverbow and like Downing and Olmsted, like just that special, the greats of that era, right? Of when Great Island was, first kind of, I guess, made great. So I like concept B because it kind of closes it down a little bit, but I would also really like to kind of disentangle for the whole island, but this too, just kind of decouple the pedestrian experience of the whole island, but this too, a little bit from the car experience. I really don't like being like right on the road. It always feels like a little odd. And so I do wonder if, since we have all these extra columns that, we'll be removing, if we can't maintain one of the gates and have the columns actually be closer to the roads and have that separate little gate entrance for people to go through, even though we are going to have to be along the road most of the way in, just as kind of like an intimate, like a little, just kind of a nuanced little feel of like, oh,
So-
this is like secret garden kind of
So
vibe.
if this is all our property, I would say the columns would be right up against the road, for
Yeah.
sure. That's the first thing I thought of. But since this column, like the back side is right on the property line,
Yeah,
to kind of remove that, and we need to get the permission from the adjacent property owner. So that was the concern there.
got it. It's just a logistic.
Yeah, we did move the sidewalk. There is a 18-inch, 2-foot landscape strip that's just going to be long.
Yeah.
Just so it's not right up against it. So ideally, I would say that this column would be right up against the road here, like this one, and you would have that, and that would definitely slow down traffic,
Yes.
on that.
But the gate to the right of the existing column, that's a gate right now. Is that gonna still remain and we're just gonna close it, or is that just gonna be for whoever, like the gatehouse or whatever that house is, their access?
So these gates,
Yeah,
right
so
here,
yes,
and here.
that one on the right, yeah.
So, we just kind of spun them around on this alternative here. So we kind of recycled the pillars that we're removing to put them in the back, so they're kind of like secondary pillars. And then the gate would go between them,
Okay,
to kind of, to reuse them, because it'd be a shame to not use them somewhere.
Right.
And then again, if they weren't used on the entryway, maybe they get used somewhere else on the island. But again, we just tried to use that. And then we tried to have some type of paver, I'm not sure what it would be, to let you know that you kind of enter and give a sense of entry. And that would align with the main pillar in the front and the secondary pillar in the back, right here.
okay. That, I actually have a quick question, not to interrupt, but it's
No,
on
no,
the
go,
top
go.
of mind. I have 3 kids and a very short memory. So not to throw something back, kind of, it did, and it's something, I don't want to take Dan's thunder, because this was his brilliant idea. So the gutters are quite beautiful, like I've never seen anything really like that before. I'm assuming they've, all the roads have been widened over time, and it's an interesting detail, and I realize and I recognize that, there's complications with having it. Have you looked into maybe keeping one of the gutters as being the center lane of the road, and keeping the left gutter in the center to kind of keep both portions of traffic, one going one way, one going the other way, but having that detail be in the center, and not to give Redness, more engineering work?
We did not.
Okay.
So the one thing I'm concerned about the gutter, if you did put them in, I think in 20 years you have to repave or something, and it's gone, it gets paved over, for some whatever reason.
Yeah, the gutter would,
Yeah.
to do the gutters where they're at gutters, we just have to widen the road. So you're saying like instead of what might otherwise be a double yellow line, like a
Yes.
kind of flush row of cobbles? Or
Yes,
even a,
yes,
yeah.
just keep that
Yeah,
cobble detail.
Something to demarcate the, yeah.
You could
It's
take
like
you could take a 12 or 18
Just
inch
like
bit
it's a
in the
chef's
middle.
kiss, like a.
Yeah, and Matt, here, take a look at this too for the entrance. So that's the remaining pillar.
I don't think it even
Small
needs
pillar, small
actually
pillar,
being a
large
gutter
pillar.
per se. Yeah, like you say, just flush with the surface would,
To narrow
again,
it down
that kind
and make it
of holds that
symmetrical.
element, that historic element into the new roadway. To me, that,
So but if we have that pillar, and we put the small pillar in, do we have, where do we have to shift over?
I think we could move, at that location, we could move the walk down a bit. I think we'd have room for the small pillar between the walk and the curb.
So we're just talking about, like on this, keeping the main pillar here,
Yeah,
keeping the walk here, maybe putting the secondary pillar.
Yeah, that's
right
what we're
here.
actually talking about that right now.
Might have to get shifted like a foot or two over,
That's what we're literally talking
yeah,
about.
the
I really
road
like
shifts
that.
over.
Maybe a foot or so.
That's exactly what we were about to communicate with. That's so funny.
that's really nice.
See, I told you he's very creative and
I think you're doing
artistic in his
great, though.
nature.
Oh, you got it too?
Yeah, he-
Your minds think alike.
That would restore
That happened in
symmetry.
3 spots independently.
That would bring the symmetry and the intimacy of the
Where you see
entrance.
the pattern right between the columns? Right, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And if you had a gate between the, there was a big pillar
Is
that
that- are
can't move and a
you
smaller
using the
pillar that's
cobblestones
new,
there
you
as
could
well?
close that
I'm-
gate at sunset.
what we're
You
saying.
could
For
close it at
pedestrians.
Some kind of
Yeah, yeah,
different
yeah,
material
interesting.
too.
So, yeah, so, maybe there's a little bit of that gutter that comes out just this way, just a few,
It seems like it would be really nice to have that detail also between the 2 columns.
Well, yeah, it comes across and comes
Yep,
across
yeah,
there,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
definitely, yeah. So,
That road detail, you're saying that it extends across to the actuals and past the road. Is that what you're saying?
No, the
Between
lines
the
with them.
road, between where the 2 columns, where he has the column.
yeah,
Kind of
the
frame.
lines.
There, to like that piece of road to also have that cobblestone, just like a nice detail to an entryway.
Plus it would
To
make
be done
noise
in
as you cross the
cobblestone.
gate.
Oh, it's down.
Yeah, it's a traffic calming, just a visual and a textural.
That's in this one.
Yeah.
I noticed you had another one further up, is that correct?
So,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it just also would slow traffic again. Like,
Yeah,
if
so,
you had like
I
2
thought-
of those, like.
I thought maybe, halfway, down the straightaway, there's another kind of paver area
Near
here.
the high point.
Yeah, high point, then have to turn. There's
And that
another
coincides
area.
where there's gonna be a light fixture.
Correct.
And yes, so there's 4 light fixtures, kind of open to the ideas of light fixtures. One's, up here in the front, second one here, third one here, and then the 4th one over here. We thought the pillars would probably just be uplit from below. There's all different types of light fixtures on the site. Not the name of them out, or
Oh, yeah, this is, yeah, not much design inspiration on the site. These are the pictures of the.
So they're all kind of residential scale,
There's
small.
much design inspiration in the site of the
For lights?
lights, yeah.
Okay, good, I
I've
wanna
never
hear
seen,
it.
there's nothing more unique
Well,
than some of
there's
them.
4 light fixtures here, and we need 4, so maybe we'll just use these 4. So,
This guy's.
so there's one, when you drive in, first one, second one, third pole, and then on the pillars, there's some big ones.
Yeah, which is supposed to, that's what's it.
This one's really cool, you can play with the scale.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
No,
don't
but I
know,
like, I like the, but I like the
yeah,
design.
territory.
This is,
So on the plan that we submitted, we just had a bunch of examples of light fixtures, possibilities. This one here is kind of used throughout, where is it? This one here is used, this one used throughout the town, the center of town. Kind of get a residential scale ones. Again, it's important, I think, to have the dark sky, downward pointing, warm temperature.
Yeah,
To look for sure. So maybe just kind of looking for some, feedback on what kind of light fixture you think you may want, because this is going to probably dictate, the rest
What
of
ends
the
up
lighting
getting
is going to be
we're gonna
used.
make you guys work, I got a feeling already, right?
So it looks like,
That one and the one
But-
on the
On the
Yeah.
yeah,
That one,
No.
nope, on the, yep.
yeah, those are
let's do it.
Massive.
some massive. I don't know if they'll be dark sky compliant with that. That's the other thing.
it's okay, the banks in town aren't either.
I wouldn't want, like this one here, if you had lights in them, probably like in your eyes, I think.
You change that with the actual lighting that goes in them now?
This one right here, probably, I don't know if you could find something similar, but the lighting would probably be up on top.
Yeah, and then down to
Down.
kind of glow.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
we-
I would play with the scale, if the one on the left is pretty small, but we can
Yeah.
play with
Yeah,
the scale, we can make it bigger
it's-
details.
Yeah, it's,
Or we can make it bigger.
no, it is kind of, yeah, it's like,
But it's an interesting design and it's,
Very unique.
it's not in your face, but it's ties to the, sort of the attitude of the place.
So this being kind of the start of the inspiration is
Yeah,
the thought.
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
the
we,
whole,
you
just
know,
the
again, we
top.
want to be respectful of our residential neighbors in this particular location. So sometimes even when you house the filament and the light source up in the cavity, you get a bright glow in the glass, which I think you're trying to avoid in this case.
Did you have a zoning regulation thing to add to this puzzle?
Okay,
Great Island is zoned residential. It is not a commercial use at this point. And therefore, all of the commercial guidelines, standards for lighting, benches, planting that are defined for all the commercial zones in town don't systematically apply. They are at the discretion of the committee and the ARB's interpretation and decision, but it's important to know that there is not really a model block for lighting or benches that applies because it's not a commercial zone.
okay.
So residential is a very important key word that you guys keep using, which is great.
Yep.
Because it is really still, even if the use becomes of public interest, right now the map for Great Island is a residential zone. Just wanted to point that
That's
out.
good to know, thank you.
I've sourced some stuff like that, the UK, if you want some.
Yeah, we would love to have some of your.
Just give me your contact
thoughts.
and I'll.
Yeah.
I will say also about the lighting is, personally, I'm not in favor of lights on the entrance poles, on the entrance pillars.
we were thinking on the ground lighting up.
Yeah, that's, I,
Yeah, I think that, so we didn't talk about signage, so I'm thinking, I know maybe something on a pillar,
I'll send you some links.
instead of having freestanding sign anywhere, that just says Great Island,
Yeah,
so.
I would think signage would come at a different time, different
Yeah,
layout.
but that's kind of the, yes, yep.
Yeah, I think we
Yep.
talked about when we met before,
Yes.
I think I had suggested something that I was, like something delicate on the actual pillars, like something that's carved in, or like a soft metal bronze plaque or something that just kind of
It's just, it's
understated,
there.
yeah, there, but
Yeah,
You have to look a little bit more.
yes.
We like your thinking. But we haven't designed it yet. No, we're not proposing it right now.
This-
You're sketching it as we speak.
The landscaping planting plan, I think there's about 16 trees that are coming out, some big Norway spruces over here. Surprised they haven't fallen over already. And we're proposing, like 10 shade trees, 6 medium-sized ones, some small growing ones. We're replanting some evergreens, we've got spruce and holly. And some arborvitae. One thing the neighbor was concerned about, cars leaving at night and this light's hitting the house here, so we kind of want to, some thick evergreen screening there. I guess she says the police do go down here once in a while, so, 2 in the morning or so, the police are leaving and the lights hit the house. Still got to go to EPC.
Isn't the house up on a hill? How would the lights hit that house?
It shines straight this way to this house.
Yeah.
So when you're there, it's,
Could she plant some plants?
so, but
We're trying to be a good neighbor.
yeah, I think that's, we are taking down the 16 trees that are, right in
Yeah.
her view. But she also said too, like, she does like the view, out and across, so,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I like my view too, and no, I have 12 new arborvitaes, because you know what, parking lights are fun. So did you, I went through the plantings, they're, they're all fine and great, they're all screening for the most part, other than, that kind of marshy area
Yeah.
where you have a few river birches and stuff. Did you consider doing any kind of like alleys or kind of adding to the grandioseness of things, or are you kind of thinking subtle, less is more, enjoy
But
while
wasn't
that
sure-
area is not
yeah.
developed?
Wasn't sure what was gonna happen on
Right.
this side, so
Yes.
trying to keep it, informal with that. We did get a comment from, a biker that said that if you're gonna plant oaks, plant them far back, because they don't want the acorns on the road.
Hmm.
So, I do use a lot of oaks. And sweet gum, that's probably not another good one. So that's why I didn't have an LA.
Yeah, I just wonder if there was a because it's an interesting swell when you're coming in, which I didn't appreciate until I saw
But,
the
yeah.
grades on the chart, but it just wondering if those future properties will be developed and there's gonna be houses.
So I did see a planting plan, 2 weeks ago or so, and it did have, just kind of a row of
Yeah.
oaks on this side.
Well, oaks
So-
are, London plane, a London plane tree.
Yeah, yeah.
I know they're not super popular right now, but they definitely would have been in 1900.
Yeah.
And having that kind of like craggly old, and they don't really lift asphalt as much as other trees do. Yeah, the sycamores.
So that's
London
fine,
plane's a little bit better, but
That-
he's good to call that.
But, again, we're just here for comments, and
Okay.
they definitely take, those.
Yeah, no, I think it's,
so-
for screening, it's good.
I like your idea too of plantings, finding plantings to consider what they would have been at the time. So you really do feel like, because I think the goal here is to feel like you're almost going back in time, going to when this was first erected. So like to consider that versus bring the plants we would normally choose for like a new commercial space. So
Yeah.
on the planter, that, I think it's a nice idea.
To differentiate everything else that's going on.
Yeah,
We do have a couple of utility boxes here, that we'll screen out. So, it also is the house here, we think they have a view across the site to Long Island Sound, to the water. So, trying to keep a balance of not trying to block their view totally and.
Monica, maybe you can speak to this more, but when are they thinking about doing this work and when would it possibly be open?
We're thinking about the construction on the road. I'll speak for Ed.
I'm sorry.
Starting in April and.
Just nod and smile at.
Concluding in the beginning of July.
Whenever you say, absolutely.
I think that's a good segue, kind of, as we have wrapped up our presentation, is to talk about schedule. Obviously, we can't go build anything until we have the wetlands approval and planning and zoning approval. Of course, planning and zoning needs to see your referral comments for them to consider the application. And Monica and Ed have worked with the department to kind of outline a pretty rapid set of appearances before everybody that we need to go to. So I guess I just want to make sure we're working cooperatively with you in terms of the comments that we heard. I think we're pretty clear on the direction to head with the gates. And that seems very, I think you made a big leap forward on that.
Can we make that clear? I feel like we had some side conversations and didn't
Okay.
fully,
You want us to pursue, you would ask us to
So-
consider something like that?
so what you're saying there, yes, put on the record there, is you would
Two-
flank the roads with the two
Small
smaller pillars.
pillars,
Flank
yes.
the roads,
And
and
the
then you'd
bigger
also put a
pillars.
separation between the walkway and the road with that
Yes.
smaller pillar.
Yes.
Yes.
The pedestrian
Yes.
entrance would be
Yes.
between
It
the
would
two
increase
cars on the
the
sidewalk side.
separation.
Yes, yep.
Okay, that's great.
The last comment I have is just down here at the island here, back down here. This is currently, got some
Yeah, the
evergreens
two pillars.
around and a small, looks like a upper spruce. So, I was thinking it might be good for a large tree, so I'm just maybe thinking about that too. Maybe you're letting.
A nice white oak.
Yeah.
It'll be great 350 years from now.
Yeah.
All right, I have a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
I love, the idea of the gate and shifting the gate and all that, but I think you brought up a really great point with this opportunity for an alley and really planning it so that when these other people come in on these parcels now, that we've already defined the entry point and we created something that's going to last, regardless of what they do. So I'm sort of wondering why we're putting are these parcels accessed from that road?
Yes.
All right, so I think that we need to look forward and plan something that they're gonna have to deal with once they buy the parcels. And we've defined it, and it stays that way. Because right now we've given them a sidewalk, and they're gonna do all this over here and all this over there, and pretty much it will not be controlled by the time those things are sold.
The way I look at it is, again, we just have, I would have loved that,
Yeah, I know there's probably lots of rules.
No,
for
if we
for not
had the
being able to do that.
room to create the alley here, I would have loved that. It's just very narrow with the topography coming down on this side and where this is positioned, because this is Scotts Cove here, and it's narrow to do that on both sides.
There's no way to do something
So if you,
small?
when you were at if you've been to the island, right, you know that this is currently an alley of trees that's not in very good shape. I think they're sugar maples and half of them are in significant decline. To me, again, because we have these access points and these neighbors, if I was thinking about a master plan for the island, like I would start focusing on this to be like a real second entrance and this causeway to be the alley, because there's room to do it there.
I'm kind of on board with downplaying it as well,
Yeah.
as opposed to, yeah, just so it just sort of blends in.
You're kind of getting, I don't want to dismiss it and say you're getting from point A to point B, but I don't want, this
I think-
should still be a wow point when you get here.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
having the elements that are, historic and pulled in subtly
Yeah.
is to me the right move to get to that, distribution point.
Yeah.
Not the cul-de-sac. or this
Why
road.
couldn't there be an alley once you take the curb?
I don't,
Yeah.
and it
we
doesn't
could-
have
we
to
could do
be an
something a
alley
little more
solution,
special.
it just
That
has
might
to
be-
be a solution that we're gonna like,
rhythm.
once those people buy
Yes.
that stuff, buy those 3 parcels and throw up their own idea of good architecture and landscape.
Those will be like entrances into their property, so I can already kind of foresee what that might look like, so just kind of,
Looks like a side road, actually, we're designing a road for them.
so it's.
And that is, we are. It's hard to avoid the fact that we are.
That's fine, I just
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to understand the whole
Yeah.
situation.
We are, right now, there's additional spruce trees here that, they're mature trees, they're there, they exist. But if we were trying to take the tact of like, we're doing this for the next 100 years, would we take the opportunity to replace those and start setting that up here? Is that kind of the idea maybe that you
That
guys?
was just a question.
Just so you can.
Yeah, but how does that retaining wall factor into that, though?
Yeah, no, it's, and again, this is a steep slope. Scott's Cove is right there, you know, we don't have a lot
Yeah,
of.
what's the drop? So if it was the 2-foot stone, which actually that's something we hadn't discussed, whether it's
Yeah.
stone capped or the wood on top. Personally, I would not be in favor of seeing like a wood.
Yeah, I mean, we're up at,
Yeah, no, that sounds.
look, we're up at elevation, you know, 16 through 19, and Scott's Cove is down at elevation 3.
Oh, wow.
Right,
So
so
quite
we're,
a drop.
Big
Yeah.
drop.
Okay.
Is 2 foot enough? I mean, well, I guess the pedestrians on the other side. so-
yes, exactly, we weren't doing it for pedestrian fall protection, we were doing it for vehicular.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
A quick question on the trees to be removed. Are they gonna be in any way repurposed, or is there any
No.
thought, has there been any?
They're pretty big, they're, yeah, they're probably 60 feet tall, or maybe larger.
The new guy.
Oh, there's a guy.
I'm not
yeah.
saying replanted, I'm saying.
Oh, find someone that is willing to,
Yeah.
take the wood, take the
Timbers,
timber.
Yeah, yeah, like actually mill them
That's a
and
great
have them, you know, possibly be incorporated in
That's what she
some
said.
of the new structures.
So
That's
this
what
new,
you just said, I'm
this
sorry.
new guy down
Who,
the
new
street,
guy?
who's the
Oh,
new
yeah.
guy?
Andre.
Andre, what was his name?
He took over the, you know, the
Seymour's.
Democratic headquarters at election time, you know, there on,
William
Just a
Seymour.
random thing that big sign. Right there by the Shell gas station. You know,
He's
the
a
old-
furniture maker and he works with wood.
Yeah, I don't think he's a timber frame per se,
I
but,
mean, you'd have to get, you know, you'd have to get a logger interested in
yeah,
taking them.
yeah, part of the mill, the
yeah,
whole, the
yeah,
whole.
exactly.
But that's what his, that's his
I guess
deal.
what kind of wood is
It
it?
would be amazing.
Maybe they're Norway
He's the
spruces.
local-
But I love the
No, it's not.
idea, and we can,
We'll look into it.
yeah, exactly,
Norway
through
spruces.
the contract, and we'll
Where
try.
are they? Where are the
He
old
grew up in
trees
Darien.
on
Okay.
this plan?
But they're mainly through here. There's 1,
What was his-
2,
what was
3,
his last
4,
name?
5,
Was it
6,
Campaign?
7. So there's 7 of them
Yeah.
right in here.
Everybody will know.
What was his last name?
And there's no way, I mean,
There's up here,
good.
9,
Hard
10,
bargain.
11, 12, 13.
there's no way that they're in the middle of the road, right?
To do what?
What's that?
There's no way they're in the middle of the road.
Well, they're in the middle of the road, that's right here, but yeah, but,
I just-
they're not gonna, yeah.
I
So,
think that's just a big.
just to kind
But I wouldn't wanna design around a Norway spruce,
Yeah.
you have large one, you design around it, and then, you know, they're gone, but the next year. So,
But you said they're 60 years old.
or what are we
60 feet
protecting,
high.
by the way,
They're probably
of
older
the
than
trees
60.
that are being protected? The trees that are being saved and protected, there's a drip line detail on
Yeah.
the pages of things that are being protected. I was just curious, it's a little, the drip line
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna, we'll have to, there's two
historic trees.
standards, there's the critical root zone, and then there's the drip line, right? And so we try to start at the drip line, but if we can't do that, then we'll trim back to the critical root zone, It's typically what we do. But, you know, it's the few trees here, it's these, again, there's spruces on this edge of the road.
Okay, there's spruces, okay.
Yeah, and and basically, this edge is pretty consistent with what's there today.
Okay.
So we don't expect, like, we're intruding on a root ball that hasn't already been impacted.
Got it, okay. Good to know.
In general, I feel like I'm concerned with, we started with the plantings. I still feel like less is more. I know you guys are doing some screening. I think, I'm worried that in 10 years from now, even 5 years, these neighbors are gonna get there and they're gonna realize they don't like that much traffic and they're gonna put up their own, I think we talked about this actually a little bit maybe when we were together. They're gonna put up their own fence and they're gonna put their own arborvitae. So that combined with already plantings we're doing, it's gonna look forced and awkward. And I feel like
We could-
it should be really, like, it's shocking, usually we're like more and more, but I feel like it really should be pulled back and put minimum planting along
That's
that
fine.
wall. Like, I don't,
you know, yeah, like a,
I still think it could be brought back
Yeah.
even less than it
Want
is.
to buy 3 more properties?
You're talking about the east.
The east side, I think right now you're seeing that, I think that's gonna get super, on the other side of that line, it's gonna get super overdeveloped and it's gonna feel unnatural and heavy, and I feel like if we can keep that as natural as possible,
that's fine.
and still, we need to have a conversation about the retaining wall material there, but,
Yeah. Craig, just
Yeah.
really quickly, I'm looking at this, the existing, north side of the, I guess you called it a gutter, but like the detailing, I'm gonna call it detailing because it's really, really quite pretty. And other than a short period of, a little bit where it looks like it's maybe 5 to 10 feet off. For the most part, it looks like it runs across the center pretty close. I mean, is that something that
Yeah,
you
so it's not
can
gonna,
look at, or are you
it's not gonna stay
definitely
where it
inside?
is, that's,
It can't.
yeah, it's.
There isn't any kind of 3
No.
feet here, 4 feet here wiggle room
I think
on
the
road.
way that it could be incorporated, but I wanna make sure we study it and talk to Ed, is, again, if you did, you know, you recreated something
Yeah.
that functioned as your center line.
As the center line, okay, alright, okay.
The gutters.
Keeping this
The
center.
So you guys are gonna take a look into that, considering that? I know Ed,
Not as a gutter,
Ed's just
but
covering
just
his
as a-
ears.
As a,
We'll look into it.
an accent.
I mean, I cannot let go how unique that is, like, the more
I-
look in the world, I mean, it's like out of Europe.
I will note that if you look at all of the driveways and roads on the island, there's only one other location where that occurs. and
Yes.
It's by the main
Yeah.
house, but all the other
Totally.
driveways don't have it. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just for the entrance.
It also, it's gonna slow cars down, just because it's there, it's not a
Sure.
long line. It's just, and we want this to be a slower paced, vehicular drive, because you want, you encourage people to ride their bicycles, you want to encourage people to walk.
Yeah.
And, the more you can slow everybody down.
I don't disagree.
Well, the other thing is, if you're considering, if you come back and you say like that can't be used as an alley, the other thought is those stones. You know, what are the decoration you're considering for those little gaps within the main drive there?
The pavers.
Yeah, the pavers.
Yeah, these, yeah, so maybe it's used, there's just a segment that's used right through here at some distance in the
Mhm.
center.
Right.
And it's used there and it's used
Yeah.
over here
Here,
too
yeah.
again.
Yeah,
And then,
But the alley preferred. The alley, I think, is the better. But yeah, both would be just, I mean, yeah, it'd be just gorgeous. Save money on your trees. The neighbors will take care of that.
So I don't often come here when you guys do too many plantings.
I know, that's
I see
right.
it all the
Run
time.
with it.
I know. The next time I come in here, you can see why.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, usually, you know, it's 150 feet on, you know, Post Road, whereas this is, you know, down
Park.
in residential area, and it's, you know,
We've got great
40
views.
feet of frontage or 30 feet of frontage, and
Yeah.
that's it, and everything else is the experience, right? So
Yeah, you get the views here.
it's a little different.
Can we talk about the retaining wall material? Can you get your, pull up your inspirations again for that? And which are the ones what you chose, and then talk about the cap?
This one's perfect.
So, okay, this shows, I think, the block style that we would likely be able to source today, right? This kind of, again, orthogonally cut, you know, New England stone. Again, in most locations, it's got an obvious mortar joint. These actually have it kind of extruded and beaded a little bit. So that's kind of where we were headed. And then the only difference would be, you know, basically we'd have like this wall here, it would be the wall without the cap, just something simple.
Is this a mortar wall, or
Yeah,
is
it's
this
a-
a wet lay? Or is this a?
No, there's no concrete core.
Okay.
It's just stone and mortar.
Okay,
Those are the two ingredients.
okay.
Okay, it's nice.
Yeah.
Alright. And what was the cap, I'm sorry, what did we, what was the takeaway? No cap. Yeah.
Simple, yeah, okay, good.
Do you expect, and this is the last question I have, is, do you expect if there's any sort of, like, event or shuttle or anything like that, that would not happen in that particular area? Like, do you expect ever that there would be a wait time that someone would be waiting on the side of that road for an event or anything like that, where you'd have to create like, almost like a niche out for someone waiting for transportation?
I mean, I would imagine,
No, like if it was like, let's just say it was,
I mean, I would imagine that,
it would happen after the.
yeah, because it's so far to get to kind of, you know, you have to get over the causeways as
just-
well. So if you've got something happening on the island, whatever that may be, actually, let me do that. you've got, 1,000 feet of the driveway here, and then you've got, another 1,000 feet until you're kind of into the island proper where, a gathering might be. So, I'm imagining that, your pickup and drop off for things is gonna be out here, right, or in here.
I just would imagine or would hope that you would plan that in the future, even if it was a group of, underage.
Yeah, that
kids
there's
that
an
are
area of refuge,
teenagers.
if you will,
Right,
that's
right.
obvious, like this
This
is where you
is
hang out while you're waiting.
While you're waiting for your parents to pick you up.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
or,
sense, yeah.
Or whatever.
Can I ask why you guys chose asphalt for the walkway material versus something like a crushed
Well,
stone or even
again,
like
this
a dirt?
gets to, we didn't want to do concrete because we felt concrete was too
Yeah.
commercial, right?
Absolutely not, you're right.
So that was the asphalt's what we use for sidewalks in residential zones throughout town. So that was the logical choice, and we just want something that's easy to maintain, easy to shovel, easy to get the snow off, not likely to bunch up, not be a tripping hazard. I mean, these are the realities of having a public space.
If you're.
So the walkways throughout, you're gonna I think part of the beauty there when you walk around is just like the natural paths that have occurred, so.
Yeah, no, if you want to get into the island, we can talk. There's a lot of ways to do that, and I'm hoping some of the areas that currently are for vehicles will only be for, bikes and pedestrians in the future, and there might be areas that are more like the stone chip paths at Waveney, let's say, through the wooded areas,
Yeah.
that feel more like a walking trail through the woods versus a bike path. I think there's lots of opportunities to create these different things.
Like if that's gonna open up though, like what, I guess my question would be like, does it fall on you to even maintain those? Why can't you say this is the natural entrance from the beginning? We have a couple feet of crushed stone here, just as you walk through the gates, and then it becomes the natural path that you decide to take throughout.
or just-
I wouldn't advise it. We've all walked the loop around Pear Tree Point, and we've all desired more respect for a pedestrian space, And that was the thinking. We want to have a formal walk from point A to point B. It's narrow, there's nowhere else to go, you gotta get into. That's what we were thinking.
I'm only gonna push back on that.
Are you concerned about the material?
Yeah, the material, yeah, absolutely. I
So
just think
something
it's,
that has more, I think more movement.
I just
but-
think it's gonna be wrong. I don't know, I think we're gonna look back and be like, ooh, I don't know, I just don't,
Well,
there's an opportunity there to do
It's
something more natural.
it is a low-cost start, right? So that as the island evolves, it could be easily looked at again.
Yeah, you mean to start with asphalt?
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say the other argument, you kind of keep it dirt and
Yeah.
So-
do no maintenance for yourself, and then let's
Granted,
do phase
Todd's
2.
Town's Point, they have a loop that has like stone dust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Half the people use it, the other half of people are walking
On the road.
Because it's
They
easier
do.
to walk on the road.
Sees much easier walking
Yeah.
around.
You see
Or
that,
if you're pushing a stroller,
okay.
try
I
to
see that
do
all the time with people just with our
Well, you said
normal
something
sidewalks.
interesting, you just said that concrete was so commercial,
That's
and
why
I
no one
understand that.
says
But
that.
when you go down
I don't know,
to
hey there.
Jones Beach, and you go down to the original road, what's really nice about that original road is that I don't know what it's made of. It's made of concrete, but it's light. It's not this black, dark tar. Can't we do something better? I mean,
I
to
think
this
after,
point?
after a few years, it tends to trend towards a light gray. I think it fades better than the whiteness of a concrete, that's what we were thinking.
Yeah, I don't agree. I mean, you go down you go down all the way to West End on Jones Beach, I mean, that's been there forever. It's just a much better look, it's a much softer look.
Actually, it's a harder material than asphalt, though, concrete, as far as impact.
Can you just let more aggregate sit on top?
You mean like an oil and stone?
No, that's
approach?
expensive.
Yeah, and maintenance wise.
Yeah, but almost just like have larger chunks of aggregate and then over time as it wears, the larger chunks of aggregate will like kind of, break it up as opposed to just being like black on.
Because the cheapest way is
Costs
the
me more
darkest,
paint
blackest
than
tar that looks like crap.
Well,
I mean,
are
I'm
there
just-
asphalt options? I mean,
Yeah,
That gets into
again,
the
that
other
introduces a
areas.
design choice that, is this the right time to make that design choice without thinking about the big picture?
right.
Right.
Okay.
So just get in there and get it done.
Well, look, the reality is we need to, there's a lot of demand to create public access here sooner than later, and this is the first piece of the puzzle.
You know that there's every chance that nobody goes back and does anything else. You know, like we might only get one shot at it, which is what I worry about. That's what I worry about the parcels.
Yeah.
You know, that if we don't set it up, nobody's gonna go back. We have a hard enough time doing it
But
once.
yeah, unfortunately, that we don't control at all
I doubt it,
that property.
Again, I live in town in Greenwich, and Todd's Point, it's thousands of people access. I think they had like 10,000 people there one day in the wintertime. It's
Oh, I love
amazing
that.
how many people, you know, just walk, because there's a loop, bring your dogs there. I can't
Oh, no, I'm all
yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
That's great. I just think
This would be-
that once you do, I mean, we should be careful about the choices that we make because I
Yep.
think we only get one shot at it. I don't think we get multiple shots. I think you need to plan it as if you don't get another shot at it.
And I also agree with Christine in the fact that once you start down the path of, well, let's say asphalt, then, you know, you
Sets
go
the
ar-
tone.
Right, it sets the tone, so the next thing you know, you're going around the rotary and you're like, but we've already put that in, like, you know, therefore, we're gonna keep on going. Right,
And
but this is the start of it, so like, you've gotta make the right choices the first time, or, you know, you're just gonna continue the choices that you made.
Well, I was just thinking that too, because if it's eventually gonna be a gentle path, right? Once you get to the roundabout, then you're like, okay, that's where it changes. Now it becomes, someone's already entered with their stroller at that point, and then that's when they're gonna be like, okay, now we're gonna go on the road. Because we were under the interpretation this was going to be an asphalt park, so, you know, what's the, I was just
Look,
gonna,
there's a lot,
start as you intend to go on.
100% a lot of things to juggle here, and it's hard to make
Yeah.
100% of the people happy, right? I mean, there's gonna be a lot of different users, I mean, and look, at this point, a walkway that is hard and smooth and maintainable is the recommended walkway.
I do think though, on the Todd's point, people usually walk on the road because people who are slower are walking on the path. I mean, no, I
No,
walk
that's
that
not
from
true.
the I mean, I also
you
walk
see-
it, we
you
walk
see-
it on, we walk on the
I see
sand
people walking on
in order
where
to
there's
like
a
get the exercise, right?
beat up sidewalk that might have some ups and downs, there's some roots, or some trees, or some utility poles, people are in the road.
Yeah.
Anything that doesn't, gets in the way of just a nice,
A nice
smooth
stroll.
walk, they walk on the road.
I will respectfully say that I really think asphalt should be re-examined.
So one more thing about asphalt on sidewalks is where I was before in Maryland, there was a lot of issues with asphalt sidewalks that were used by bicyclists. Because they were inviting, they're smooth, and then they'd rather be on the sidewalk than on the road, even though there were signs everywhere that said no bicycling.
Well, that's why I was saying before.
It
I think the other-
kind of sends a message, so it just, I don't,
The last point.
they wouldn't be going on gravel as much or crushed stone or something,
Yeah.
but they were on the sidewalks and there was a bit of a war.
The last point worthy of mentioning, and then maybe, at least for tonight, we'll agree to
We're
disagree.
gonna keep at you till you
But,
still have a response back, right? We're gonna keep this going.
is the slopes, right? We have 8% slopes here on the first half of them, which again, a loose surface is gonna tend to migrate more quickly on
Okay.
a steeper slope.
And then did you talk about the possible pole locations? Are
We have
current
four,
ones?
yeah,
There's,
Four of
yes.
them.
yeah.
Okay, and that's
You are on the plan,
the max you're proposing
yes.
or a minimum? Are you open to less than that or?
That's not a lot.
Right,
Well, originally, I think they were every 100
I
feet or
think
so.
we started out every 100 feet,
So,
so we've
but
been 8.
that's like, that's too many.
We have one at each end, one at the high point, and one at the curve. It just
The
seemed like
one
a lot.
over here was by the existing driveway, I thought there'd be important there. One kind of high point, one at the turn, and then one down here.
okay, which is about like every 50 feet, so.
How many feet?
It's 1,000.
How many?
No, it's about every 200 feet.
Are most of
Still
them on the
way
one
off
side,
now.
or are they alternating sides?
There's ones on this side, this on this side. These two are on this side,
Okay,
and these
gotcha.
two.
All right, that's
Just
what I thought.
mainly, there's more room
Yeah.
here, and, you know, so.
Yeah, you're fighting with the wall and the plants and the,
They're
yeah.
fighting sidewalks, yeah. They're probably ideally, probably could put them all on one side.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
Okay,
But then I'd rather see.
any other comments, questions, or are you guys clear? I mean, I can recap right now in the meeting, I'll definitely put notes together for you all
That'd be great.
in our viewpoint system, so it's organized, but,
We were just talking to one thing
Yes.
about the fact that like instead of this, could you somehow take the light and integrate it into either the wall or if so that you don't see this big thing pointing out? Do you need to have it pointing out? Do you need to
Oh, was that
have
the
it?
one, or I thought?
Where are you gonna use?
Can you,
Second.
can you integrate the light
This
into the actual retaining wall?
Well, the
That's the-
two retaining walls, close, the two retaining walls closest to the cul-de-sac, as high as they would be is 2 feet off the ground, so that's not gonna
That's not
work to
gonna be
throw
enough light.
a light there. And the
Yeah.
one closest to the gates is maybe at 4.5 or 5 feet at its tallest point, so it's
And how
also.
tall are the gates?
But it's also set back a bit too.
Yeah.
How tall are the gates? Sorry, the
Piers.
piers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and for those, we were thinking about an uplight, not having a fixture at the piers,
yeah.
just
But how tall are
highlighting
the
the pier
piers?
itself,
7 feet.
you know.
Jake's in.
Those are some.
My only thought was whether you would want to create additional, some sort of like element like that with a light on top versus.
Oh, put light on top of the,
That was
And you're
one
adding-
Ideally, what
that they should-
What we're trying to do with the light is put a splash on the driveway in 4 locations.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to get out of it, is just a little light wash,
okay.
so you've got kind of a visual cue of where the road goes.
It may be good to
Yeah.
wire the pillars, you know, just in case in the future, you know, the changes.
Yeah,
So it's-
yeah, no, I definitely didn't like the lights on the pillars, that was a little
No.
too over.
A little too much.
Yeah, all right, so I think the strongest recommendation is coming from the cobblestone, right? That seems to be the most passionate cry I hear here.
I thought it was the locks.
And the walks, I was gonna say that's the second part, I was
The
gonna,
gates?
And the-
no, but I think we came to a lovely compromise
Yeah,
of just,
it is,
this
yeah.
was with the entrance, with the pillars and
I think
how
we
that's
need
gonna
to-
come together, that's gonna,
Oh, just in
Really
terms of
value
when you're
guys
walking on it.
Mhm.
If we were down
repurposing.
to tennis ball on concrete and bounce tennis ball on asphalt,
they're
the
back to the asphalt
concrete
concrete.
would bounce higher, because it's,
Yeah.
like, so for like.
I know you guys have another
running,
meeting,
don't
so you
wanna
guys
run
can,
on
I really
concrete,
appreciate your
it's
time.
better on
Yes.
asphalt.
Good luck.
That's definitely more reflective. Thank you.
So again, Craig, since you're presenting on, so I will put all the stuff in viewpoint for, and then if you wanna, clarify anything, we could, reach out, we could contact or email to clarify.
Okay, great.
Seasonal.
I think you're.
Concrete.
We got some great feedback, and I think the plans got better tonight, and,
Yeah.
Contact the woodman.
like
I'm gonna find you your house.
whispering me, you know? You hear something outside?
I'm just thinking.
I'm gonna bring an asphalt sample to your house.
Bigger front rock versus asphalt. That's where I'm. That's
All right,
the
guys,
final
Well,
answer.
no, I was interested in what she was saying about.
We're gonna move on to old business, ARB number 48, 2023, which is,
Right. You mind putting this back there?
Oh, sure.
Stone.
we're gonna do the House of Trizia Jewelry Designs. This is our second presentation.
Broken up by.
It's like a
Oh, yeah.
just a paid tax and all of that.
This changed a little bit.
Good reminder.
Yeah.
That would be nice, and I think you almost rather do like gravel and salt it, you know what I mean, and snow, just go across it.
What was that?
We're saving trees. We're saving trees.
Good night, nice to see you, Matt.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of things that sort of we have to read about this.
All right, Monica, you wanna head on
I'm
up
really
there?
not settled on it at all.
Craig, take it, Monica, head on, do you have to be out to the podium up out there? Take your time, Craig, we're not rushing you, we're just. All right, so I'll say it one more time for the records, ARB number 48, 2023, it's 770 Boston Post Road, the House of Trizia Jewelry Designs. So welcome back, Monica, I know we saw you in
Yes,
December.
good evening, how are you?
Hervé, well, I think the designs are coming on, we have the computer this evening, right?
Yes, and
So
tell me
this,
which one you want to talk about first.
It's a good one.
Tell
Oh,
me which one you want.
Oh, the wall sign,
The wall
I
sign,
guess,
the bigger
yeah,
one, right?
the bigger one, yes,
This one.
please.
we go. I think
Wall
this is.
sign will be determined by this one, right?
Yes. Well, this is the new design for the wall sign, as you asked me to do. So
Right.
I mean those will be the colors. It will measure 54 wide by 24 high. No, I don't know if you want to ask me some questions about what you're seeing.
There was an image with that, the
Mhm.
house with it over the window too, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be good to see, you're right. Okay.
So the background here is blue, not white, correct?
The background, yes, blue. Mhm.
Okay.
And it has
It's all
the
blue.
gold border, 'cause on the other image it didn't show the border.
Yes, gold border.
Okay.
Mhm.
Gold border. Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Mhm.
What's the sign material?
The material, as I know, it's a water and weather resistant wooden sign printed using a 4-color UV printed process on high density fiber board.
It's a fiber board.
This is
Yes,
PVC.
Okay.
yes, fiber
Oh,
board.
there we go. Thank you, Sasha.
They told me it's better than wood, so, I mean,
Same.
being,
They're both the
Okay.
same.
that's the hang, yes.
Wait,
I mean,
that's-
They're
Oh,
both
that's
the
the
But that's a
hanging
no,
hanging
that's
sign.
the hanging
Sorry,
sign, no.
I think there was a description on
No,
the.
that's good. Thank you, Irving.
I think that this one is the wall sign.
The wall sign,
There
yes.
we go. The reason for the 54 is that Monica had showed me the dimension here, and see here it's written 50,
Yeah.
but I told her that with this size letter, she needed a couple more inches of breathing room on both sides, so that it didn't look like.
That was gonna be my
So
comment.
that's the reason, it became, she wrote it down, became 54, but even though this drawing shows 50, so.
Yeah.
So go back to that material, the material of the wall sign. Again, sorry. You're doing a good job, Irving. Sorry.
the
That one, yeah.
Wall, that's the hanging one, there was the wall sign. Sign material, blah, blah, blah.
It will be
Like
half,
half inch.
thick, half, yes,
Okay.
half inch.
Okay. All
How
right.
is it gonna be
I was
fixed
just
to the
thinking
wall?
that.
You were just thinking that?
Yeah, I was literally just about that. I was.
Yes, I guess,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm ordering the sign online, so I have a contractor doing it.
Okay.
And they will, I mean, he said he will hang it with brackets in the back.
Brackets in the back.
Yeah, because they also give me an option to have holes already made.
In the sign?
Yes, but I'm not sure if that looks good.
No, hang-
So,
the brackets.
yeah, that's why. But he's, you know, he has, he told me he will use,
As long as you can't see
It's-
the bracket, as long as you can't
Yes,
see
no,
the
no, no.
mounting, that's the point.
no,
Okay.
no, we won't see the I mean, the brackets, and also he will use, I forgot the name of the material, but it won't, I mean, the metal,
That's
that
okay.
it won't rust,
Okay.
you know.
That's great.
Aluminum.
Aluminum, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, so hidden aluminum bracket.
Yes, mhm.
Okay. And then can we pull up your, the second sign?
The blade sign.
The blade sign, thank
Do you want the view of it?
you. Yes.
I think this is this one. Is that it? Yeah, 22 by 30.
Yeah.
This we don't.
And that
know.
meets the regulations,
Huh?
that's compliant with the regulation.
And what's the brackets that are holding it to the post?
Yeah, that's aluminum
Are
too.
those existing?
The brackets, no. I mean, they are not on the pole, no. that's something that, those I already got, I didn't actually bring those, because what happened is, before asking for, with the previous design, I already made the both signs, because I didn't know. So now I'm using just the same brackets,
Okay.
but it's a totally different
Do
material.
they match the color of the actual existing pole sign?
It's actually the pole sign, I mean, the pole is white, it's wood, I mean,
It's like a real estate pole.
yeah.
Okay.
Last time there was an image showing it, it's like right in the middle of a bush coming up, and
Right,
Yes, I think you have a picture, no?
that would be great.
maybe we're.
I think the last time you have, I mean, I didn't upload a picture of the
Oh, you didn't, it's
Yeah,
the
no, I
same, okay.
Yeah,
same.
maybe we looked at it.
Is that the last one here, right, maybe? I think you just pulled that one too. I think it
Oh,
might
it
be.
could have been that, like, I think somebody brought it up on their.
On their
I
phone.
think that's what it
Or
is.
something like
David,
that.
David Humphrey showed it on his phone.
Yeah,
Okay,
You're right, David. I
Okay.
don't think it's in there.
right.
and the hanging sign's two-sided.
Yes, it is. Mhm.
Okay. I don't have any exception.
All right, favorable report this time.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, great.
Thank you.
So it's approved.
So
Okay,
I'll write you a letter,
okay,
and in the meantime, that takes the right letter, Hervé will send you a digital copy of that as well. You
okay,
can continue on with, what you presented.
okay, so I can order it now. Okay, great,
Well, you have
thank
to
you so
file
much.
for the building permit.
Huh?
You have to use that letter to file for the building permit to build the sign.
Oh, okay,
Now you
first,
have to go
and
to the
then
building department part of
with
it.
this, okay.
With the approval letter
Mhm.
and all the specification of the sign that you're gonna build. And
Okay.
then it'll come in front of me again. You get your zoning permit and building permit.
And then I
you
can order.
And then you can install.
Okay.
You can order if you want.
Oh, okay. I
You can order if you
okay,
want.
You
But
just can't
you
put it
still
up
have
until
a
you've got all the
step, you
paperwork.
still have a step to get a
I see.
building
Okay,
permit
Gonna pay
approval.
the piper.
all right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Monica.
Thanks for your time. Happy New Year. to
Happy New
you.
Year, Monica, thank you. And good luck.
Oh, thank you.
Look forward to seeing your work. All right, other business, we're gonna take a vote for vice chair. Last time we nominated Ms. Anya Janis as the vice chair. It's kind of a thumbs on your nose thing, who wasn't here last year, so. Anya got up, so can I take a vote, all in favor for Anya as chair?
If I was in favor, yeah.
All right, all opposed, anyone opposed? None? All right, that's a unanimous vote for the record for Ms. Janis, and I really appreciate it. It's nice to have her. It's very helpful as chairman to have someone if like, God forbid, I think I don't think I've missed one meeting in 9 years.
What?
Yeah, I've been
Wow.
I mean, even through my pregnancies,
Wow.
through it, but it's nice to know that there's someone that's,
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
once we were wondering.
I know, it's nice to like know that like I can maybe breathe or something.
Throw the
I know. And I gotta get a life. And then can I take a vote for minute approval? Nice job, Mrs. Hart. All in favor of the minutes approved? All right, anyone dis- all right, so the minutes have been approved. It is 8:08. Oh, is any other business anyone would like to discuss before I close the meeting? No? All right, so it's 8:18 PM. I am calling for an adjournment.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Nice work.